Hello and welcome to episode 128 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always I'm joined by the lovely jubbly Wibbly Wobblet. Say hello.
Hello.
I'm also joined by Dr. Delicious Matthew, who is also a drummer. How are you? Hello.
Yeah, good. Wibbly Wobblet sounds adorable.
Thank you.
I just want to give you a cuddle now.
I mean, come on, he's very cuddleable. As long as you don't mind the resting, I'm disappointed in you and your lineage face.
Yeah, we've all got used to that. It's fine.
I mean, it's actually quite good for your mental health, because, you know, just the way that humans hug, it's like head on shoulder, you know, so you can't see the look of endless, deadened disappointment in you.
I have too felt that I am a much more personable person when you can't see my face, yes.
Yeah, you are much more affectionate when we can't see you.
You know, with all the type of people where, you know, like, you'll go have a go at me for, like, dragging you jokingly. I think that might have been the harshest thing said in this podcast.
Really? I could go harsher.
Yeah, I know you could.
I couldn't, actually, because I love you a lot. And, to be fair, you do, like, your brand is the resting disappointment face, so...
It is, yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
And mine is the, like, oh, I've set fire to the ceiling fan again, oh, that crazy Snipe, which I don't know how that, like, came to be, but, yeah, that's just...
How is everyone, by the way?
I'm copacetic, thank you very much.
You good? How you doing, Matt?
I don't know what that means. I hope
I am in all in good order.
Oh, nice.
North American informal.
Oh, okay.
Google it.
Okay. I'm alright. I did that thing where you fall asleep on the sofa accidentally for like 10 minutes and wake up feeling dramatically tireder than you did before.
Oh my god, I did that literally just before
the podcast. Why are humans
podcast.
like this?
Because we're over 30 and we're going to die.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fine.
So I'm fine.
Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I've had an appropriate amount of sleep, and I haven't just fallen asleep on the couch today.
Have all three of us fallen asleep on the couch today and woken up feeling shittier?
No, because I literally just said I didn't.
Oh, but you said it in a way that, okay.
It's going to be a good episode.
You can learn a lot from your husband if you just listen to him. Allegedly.
And I was going to try and make a joke, but I was like, I can't make a joke without it sounding a lot worse than I mean it. So
seeing as apparently I'm already dragging him.
So, are we just going to be like low-key insulting each other for the next hour and a half?
I don't think I have it in me to insult Drummer Matt, because he is the Grogu of our podcast.
Okay, that
but he
already
doesn't
sounds
do
like
anything mischievous.
I'm going to say that sounds like that could be an insult.
Okay, do you have any idea how many people... Like, I drew a picture with of Longfang and I's streams on Thursdays. We do a stream called Uncooperative Thursday. I do it with my friend Longfang, if anyone doesn't know. And I drew him as the Mandalorian and me as little baby Grogu. And the entirety of chat, when they saw that, were like, yeah, that matches your energy perfectly. And I'm like, that feels like a very clever, thinly veiled insult.
You could also be saying that he's a child who eats raw eggs.
Okay, who hasn't eaten a raw egg here?
I have not eaten a raw egg.
Drummer Matt.
Oh, yeah. Lived in France for 3 years. Like, raw egg is pretty standard.
It's really, really good for protein. Like, get muscle building, you eat raw eggs.
Okay, raw frog eggs.
Frog eggs?
Frog eggs.
Frog eggs? And I'm pretty sure they're called frog spawn. I don't mean to embarrass you in front of the internet, but I mean...
Can someone please ask me what I've been doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, can someone please ask me what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks so that we can just move on from this cul-de-sac that we've got stuck in?
Okay, Wib.
Hello.
I'm fine, by the way.
I asked you earlier.
I know, but I forgot that I answered just as I did it. Wib.
Yeah, hello.
Stop laughing at me. What have you been up to? Justify yourself. No. I feel horrible about that. No one ever has to justify their existence. Ever.
I mean...
Apart from, like, people who are horrible, like TERFs, who can fuck off and eat soggy, wet cum toast.
Oh.
Weird, what have you been up to?
I've not been eating soggy, wet cum toast.
Well, because you're not a TERF.
Only the crispy kind of cum toast for Wib.
Oh, French toast with cum. And I've just remembered my father-in-law listens to this. Hi, Kev. Sorry about the cum.
So I am going to talk about some things that I've done. I don't really have any video games to talk about on account of the fact that I've just been playing The Binding of Isaac Solid for like 2 months.
Oh, nice. Is there new stuff that you found, or...?
Oh, yeah, I've been doing stuff with, like, the tainted characters and unlocking stuff. Like, I finally unlocked the Forgotten, who I just put off unlocking for the longest time.
Cool.
You quite done back there?
I'm fine. How are you? Sorry, that just caught me real funny.
Yep.
Oh, dear.
Oh my. Apart from playing that, which I've talked about The Binding of Isaac a million times, so I won't bore you with that. But I have been watching a bunch of stuff.
Ooh.
So many 3D pornographies.
Not one of them is 3D pornography.
Oh.
Shockingly. First, a couple of cartoon things. Which is so for one, I've been watching the season 2 of the Lower Decks, which is
that Andromeda thingy, ain't it?
You mean as in Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda?
Yes.
I'm actually honestly surprised it hasn't found a way to reference it.
It's probably a licensing thing. Or maybe they just don't care, because let's be honest, nobody wants to remember Andromeda.
No, because that requires.
Because then you have to remember Kevin Sorbo exists as well.
But so I've been watching the Lower Decks, which continues to be an utter delight.
Can I just say, I like it how you're you're basically the medical officer in that show.
Dr. Tana is,
a very grouchy cat, and I'm just like, that's just Wib.
Yeah, she's a Cation, and she's
fantastic.
There was a Cation in the old animated series who was called Maress.
Well, didn't she be like, yes, Captain, I found something on the sensors, because she's a cat.
Yeah, they really hammered it home, and she was the archetypical, like, sexy furry character that they tried to do. So and Dr. Tana is the opposite of that, because she is drawn how I draw myself.
Yeah.
And she just swears at everyone, and that's beautiful. But yeah, the Lower Decks continues to be great. It likes to play with Star Trek canon in a way that is a lot of fun, and it has a fair bit of heart when it wants to. And yeah, I just like it. Also, speaking of cartoons with heart, because I'd watched The Owl House recently and really enjoyed it because it's fantastic, I was recommended Amphibia, which... Amphibia. I think I said Amphibia.
Actually, it's amphibian.
Well, it was probably because the main character's called Anne. So.
Yeah.
Anne.
Just keep talking.
Okay.
Stop like
Stop
putting a spotlight on how fucking thick I am. Oh my god.
You don't think you're just drifting off when I'm talking?
Kind of, yeah. And disassociating while you're talking.
Still haven't got word back from the forms you filled in for ADHD, have you?
No, the waiting list is like 3 years.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been watching Amphibia. Which a bunch of the same people were involved, from what I understand, as with the Owl House. It's another like animated series that was on the Disney Channel originally. That's just kind of fun. The basic idea is that there is I think she's supposed to be 13, a character called Anne Boontroy, who is transported to the world of Amphibia, which is like full of giant insects, monstrous birds, and like frogs, toads, and newts.
Bet you can't
that
wait till
are-
morning.
that are like, you know, giant and sentient, and they're the ones that like rule the society.
So it's like an alternate universe where frogs are in charge.
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
And so like it's you know, it's the kind of typical like fish out of water thing. Her trying to learn how
Frog
to
out of water.
where she's trying to get used to this world where it's you know, everything is trying to eat you, because like even though the frogs are giant, the things that would eat frogs, like birds and fish and stuff, lots of them are also giant.
Are you sure that Anne isn't just small? And the
Yeah,
frogs and
maybe
birds
she's
are
just
normal
small.
size?
Well, I mean, you're the only person here who has like an education.
Hey, come on, I have a poor education.
But I would believe you would notice that, because wouldn't the way physics behaves would start, you'd notice it if you were significantly smaller?
Good
Because
question.
like, if an ant was 6 feet tall, it would just crush itself under its own weight and die horribly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I guess surface area gets weird because you start like losing too much heat to...
Yeah, take that,
okay,
higher
there's
education,
probably
boy.
there's probably a thing. Somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, no, fair enough. All right, I take back my silly comment. Thanks.
The problem was you were the only one that could answer it. But yeah, and it's I don't enjoy it quite as much as the Owl House, but it's still a lot of fun. Really kind of picks up in season 2 when it stops being so much like just episode of the week sort of thing, and it has a bit more of a like story arc going to it. But yeah, it's never not good, and yeah, it's pretty funny. There's also an episode that is a sort of Gravity Falls crossover, which is pretty great.
Oh, this is beautiful.
And yeah, it's pretty fun. I enjoyed Amphibia quite a bit. It's season 2 is the last one that's currently been done, and season 3 has been like announced. I can't remember when that comes out. I think it's quite soon, actually. I think it's like in like a month's time or something.
The spooky month.
So that's cool, and there's a big change-up of the status quo, which I won't say anything about because that would be a spoiler for the second season. But yeah, it's well worth a watch if you like your cartoons. Yeah. Also, I watched through a bunch of Gundam. Yeah. Because
Have you worked out which series it is you watched? Because it's very confusing.
Yes. So on Netflix currently, there is the original Mobile Suit Gundam movies. Now, the way that the series worked is that the original series was condensed into 3 movies, and...
I just really want to say for our American listeners, that's cell phone Gundam or cell phone suit Gundam. But that's just it's a terrible joke, and I acknowledge that. But I thought it, and then I couldn't not say it.
No,
That's fair.
it's cellular phone suit Gundang.
Gosh darn.
Gosh darn. Yeah.
Okay, so I do.
But yeah, because I've been wanting to like get into Gunpla. You know, the little models you build of Gundams.
You see, how do I say this?
I don't know.
So Gunpla, when I hear it, it sounds like gunplay, which is not what you're talking about.
It is not what I'm talking about, and I although I have not heard the term before, I can 100% already understand what it is and don't want anything to do with it.
Neither do I. It's just flagrantly unsafe.
It seems very dangerous.
Yes, don't do that. Every gun is loaded, even an unloaded one, so don't put it anywhere inside your butt.
Don't just put it inside yourself in any way, shape, or form.
Just don't put guns inside. Just don't.
But yeah, Gunpla is where you get these little model kits, and they're all sort of like just push fit, and you assemble a little robot that's like a little action figure that you just build yourself, which is just really cool. And I'd wanted
I know, because Lynn Squiggly got us one each.
Yes, I was going to. I'll get to that in a moment.
Yes.
And I've been wanting to kind of get into that. Like, I'd been on some of Lynn's streams where she was building one, and sort of got to see how it all worked. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to get into that, but like, I don't know dick all about Gundam, because the only bits I'd seen of it was bits of Gundam Wing when it was on like Toonami, and the only bits I saw were like middle of season episodes where they were talking about the politics of the universe, and I was very lost. But yeah, with these movies, which, like I say, were a condensed version of the series with some stuff added, from what I understand, were put up on Netflix. So I was like, 3 movies, that's like, because they're like, but all of them like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. So that's like 7 hours to watch a condensed version of like a 40 episode series. Like, okay, cool, yeah, I can do that. And I think the original ones came out in like 1978, 1979, around that time, so it's pretty old. But I was honestly really surprised by how good it was. Like, as movies, they're not very good because they weren't designed as movies.
Yeah, they're not going to use that time in a way that benefits it, because it's just a mass compilation. It's an omnibus of Gundam.
Like it's sort of each one is more just big fight scene, people talking in between about how it affects them, big fight scene. It just keeps going from fight to fight to fight, because that's how it would have been in the series, because that's structured episodically rather than as a movie. So like, as far so it doesn't really, it has flaws from that, which is fine and understandable, and the animation is occasionally quite crude, but again, it's quite old, so I'm not going to hold that against it. But where it really shines is in its characters, and how it treats the subject matter. So the basic premise, for the 4 people, I presume, who are listening who don't know dick all about Gundam.
Drummer Matt and I being 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched a couple of Gundam series. I know a mild amount.
Okay.
I know that there's mechs in it.
Yeah, but the basic idea of at least the original one is mankind has gone to space, and we've got a bunch of space stations out there that are basically like little recreations of Earth on them. And a section, one of them and all the allied ones have tried to secede from Earth's control, and it's a war happens between them that is caused such ridiculous amounts of casualties that it is hard to comprehend. And one of the methods that they use for fighting are these giant suits called mobile suits, which is why it's Mobile Suit Gundam.
So what's the Gundam?
The Gundam is a particularly amazing version that the Earth forces build, that is like a prototype one that is significantly better than all the other ones.
So it's like the Megazord.
I mean,
in badassery levels, I mean.
No, but also yes, kind of.
Okay. I'm learning a lot.
A kid ends up inside it, the pilot of it, and he and a bunch of other people from the colony space station that he's on basically get pressed into military service due to circumstance. And the series is about them dealing with that and trying to bring an end to the war in question. And a lot of it, like, I don't know about the intentions of the author, because I haven't really, like, I've watched a bunch of this stuff at this point, but I've not got deep enough into it to like look up what creator intentions or like things like that were. But the big message I got from it was, war sucks ass, and it fucks people up who get thrown into it.
Yep.
And it handles that pretty well. Even like the villains of it are treated with a degree of humanity that you don't often see. Like, for example, minor spoilers for a series that came out before I would wager 99% of the people listening were born. But the son of the big big enemy leader is killed, and rather than him having like a big angry rant or anything,
like a big Dr. Eggman mustache twirling,
a big mustache twirling moment, like they have taken my son from me and everything. One of the things you see is him just repeatedly playing back the last message he got back from his son in a quiet scene. Little things like that really kind of humanize them, and I don't know if this was present in the original series, but in this movie version of it, it takes quite a while before it becomes apparent that there's exactly how fucking bad Zeon actually are, which is this big rebel faction. The other message you can take from it, which only really becomes super apparent towards the very end of it, is that if you are trying to build something based on a fierce hierarchy, then you become not only susceptible, but will be forced to embrace fascistic tactics.
I don't think any of us are going to disagree.
Right.
Because, towards the end, let's just say someone name drops Adolf Hitler to someone, and the person's like, well, I don't take that as an insult, and the other person's like, huh.
That is moderately
Didn't really expect that.
God, wasn't Hitler a great guy? My favourite part about Hitler was that he, like, repeatedly shat himself daily because he was a big dumb bitch who deserved to die.
He did suck.
Yeah. I just know there's someone out there who has, like, the someone bad-mouthed Hitler, like, alarm. And they're gonna wake up and be like, I must be angry at someone on the internet. For no fucking reason.
It's very funny.
Nazis and fascists are fucking garbage, and I hate them, and I want them to all go and just fucking get in the sea.
They should get in the sea.
Yeah.
But Mobile Suit Gundam should not, because this level of like just depth of character like just makes it really kind of have a lot more staying power. I think that's what kind of elevates it. I know, like, in terms of its mech stuff, it established, a lot of stuff. I think I read somewhere that it was like the thing that most like decided the tropes of the real robot genre, which is mech anime and stuff that is not quite as fantastical, where it's based a bit more in like, yeah, they are like fanciful mech suits and things, but they treat them as if they're just military machinery. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I then watched, there's a follow-up movie made like 10 or so years later called Char's Counterattack, which...
That was a counterattack that had a long time coming, eh?
Yeah, which follows up from that original one, and all of the janky animation is now gone, and the animation is fucking beautiful in it.
Was that the one I saw you watching the other day?
No, it's not.
Okay, because that was beautifully animated as well.
That was too, but that was
gorgeous.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Anyway.
But yeah, unfortunately, the kind of story of Char's Counterattack ain't great. It feels like it feels like a lot of stuff was supposed to be in there, and they didn't have the room for it, but they still crammed it in anyway. So there's just a lot going on in it. And a really likable villain from Mobile Suit Gundam, Char. I presume that's how you're supposed to pronounce his name. I don't know. He's kind of really likable in the original one, even though he is kind of a villain. But when it gets to this one, where he is the main villain, they decide to make him a space libertarian, and that's upsetting. And by space libertarian, I mean he's angry at the government, and he likes to romance teenagers.
I was about to say, how many kids does he try and fuck?
It's explicitly stated that he's into teenagers.
Actually,
and I'm like,
it's not paedophilia. Yes, it is. It's paedophilia, and yes, you do need to tell me how you're going to build those fucking roads. Moving on.
So that's the thing. I also watch Hathaway, which is part of the same continuity, because the Gundam universe has like fucking 5 different main continuities. Fucking nightmare to get into. But that's like the first part of an extended series. And the most notable thing about it is that its intro, it's got a James Bond intro.
Oh.
Which is, like, abstract.
Are we talking about, like, walking on and then firing down the bullet of a gun that somehow has blood in it for some
No, I
reason?
mean-
Or are we talking, like, the silhouettes dancing sexily?
That, but it's Gundam's.
Okay, that's
dancing.
that's amazing. I want to see like sexy fucking like chunky robots being like ooh.
They're not dancing seductively. That would
Then
be,
I don't care.
That would be wrong. But it is very James Bondy. It's quite
Fantastic.
fun. But unfortunately, it made some weird choices. Like, so the actual mobile suits are animated in CG, which makes sense in like the modern day. Like animating a big mech. It makes sense to do it like that. I'm not going to begrudge them that, even though I prefer the traditionally animated stuff. Like I say, Charles Counterattack looked fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But they combine that with making the mechs really over elaborate, so they've just got a lot going off on them. So it makes them hard to kind of define a silhouette, like to know, like, oh, they move that, like that's part of the leg, but what part of the leg is it?
So
like,
it's a bit Final Fantasy.
I was going to make it's a bit early, like Michael Bay Transformers, like looking.
Where you're just like, there's just stuff happening.
Yeah, it has a bit of that. But that combined with I think every time a mech suit appears on screen, it's at night. So everything's a bit murky as well. I watched it and I really have trouble remembering what any of the mechs look like in it. It's a weird choice. But one of the reasons it's led me to watch to start watching the other stuff, because the next thing I've got on my to-do list is to watch one called Iron-Blooded Orphans, which is apparently quite good.
I've heard about that the most.
Yeah.
Also, Iron-Blooded Orphans is like such a fucking metal band.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hello, we are the Iron-Blooded Orphans. It's like, and they just like doom metal. Like, you know, the Cannibal Corpse kind of just like, I'm gonna make a noise in my throat that will make my doctor angry for like 20 minutes. That's kind of how I imagine it would sound.
I can see that. I can see that. But yeah, one of the reasons that I've sort of like wanted to get more into it is that, as Snipe mentioned earlier, our friend Lynn, we met up with her the other day, and she gave us a Gunpla each. The one she gave me was what's it fucking called? Gun Cannon.
Nice.
Which is the goofiest thing. It's from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. It's like. It looks like a 1980s toy. It looks
like Johnny Five if he wanted to fuck you up. And not just in the cool, he dresses himself as a punk kind of way.
You see, I think it looks like a robot as designed by Manta Force, but I think you have to be a certain age to understand that one.
What the fuck is Manta Force?
It's a toy. It's a toy range that it was like a big spaceship that had these little like really basically articulated action figures that were like half an inch tall.
Okay.
And then you took the top off it and it had like 15 different vehicles in it that all could fit the dudes in.
That sounds like I would have just passed out and died if someone had given me that as a kid.
I will show it you after
because that
the podcast.
sounds like I would have
it.
Loved it.
You would have loved them.
I loved cars as a kid.
You would have loved
shit.
the bad guys' vehicles.
What are
because
they?
the thing. Oh, they're just evil looking versions.
Okay, yeah, I like it. You don't have to describe it to me. I'm like, yeah.
They're
my
really
favorite colors are like black and red, so yeah, I get it.
But this thing looks like that. It looks like a toy from the 80s, which since it's a robot designed in the 70s, that makes sense. It's got like caterpillar tracks and two giant cannons, and its hands are like miniguns. It's great.
It is real cool.
And yeah, it's all like, I assembled that. I just sat down one morning and just like did it over the space of a couple of hours, and it's really satisfying because it's all
snap fit and it's all pre-painted and.
Well, it's not pre-painted. It's just that
it's all got the color. You don't need to paint it. It's weird putting something together. I haven't put mine together yet because I am bad at what was executive dysfunction. Yep, that's me. But yeah, like just snapping everything in, and it's weird not undercoating and gluing.
Yeah.
And
It's just quite nice because it's like all of the things that lead to stress whilst assembling and painting it and like making a 40k model or any kind of model kit really just isn't present because everything's already got colour on it because it's just different coloured plastics. So, it all just fits together. You can go further. You can paint them if you want. There's lots of things they show like to make it look better. Like, there's proper markers you can buy to like draw on the plastic so you can like draw inside the panel lines to like make them stand out more, things like that.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's just I totally get why people get really into it, and now I want to try one of the more modern ones because the gun cannon model is from like 2000, so it's nowhere.
You are just inherently a hipster. Huh?
Yeah, I can't help it. It's nowhere near as advanced as the modern kits because the modern kits are terrifying. Like, so. Just if you're only familiar with like say Games Workshop sprues,
think about the average kind of sprue for like a squad is like the size of an A5 like notebook.
Well, size is...
It could fit in, like, yeah, I'm saying, like usually it's like that, and it's all very kind of...
Yeah, well, I mean, the size, that's all governed really by box size more than anything else.
No, it's not. You can get a Warhound Titan, and it all comes in a big A5 box. It's really cool. And it's why they won't employ me at Forge World.
But the thing is that, it's just a big solid piece of grey plastic, or sometimes blue, or sometimes red, or whatever colour they're feeling like doing that week. Whereas... the interesting thing about Gunpla is that sometimes you get sprues that are multiple different colours because they've cast them in such a way that they can all fit together. So you'll get one that's like, say, mostly red, but then there's a little bit of yellow on the kit, so that's just like attached to the red sprue.
That just makes me think of like cheap lollies, cheap sweets, like drumstick things where they've obviously poured in two different say flavors and they kind of mix a little bit, and I am going to eat your sprues.
What will really bake your noodle though is that they're some of the later ones, and I don't understand how they do this, is that you get sprues where there'll be a complete leg, the internal parts of the leg will be on the sprue, and you clip it off and it is already jointed because they've got two different sprues, two different castings to go together.
I mean, do you remember
one sprue?
Do you remember, Matt? You remember you gave me that 3D printed dinosaur that was basically got printed in segments and it was like a chain?
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe something like that, which is literally, it's magic. Let's call it magic because it is.
It won't be because the 3D printers make sense that they can do that because of the way they work. Casting plastic, how plastic works, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Honestly, that was the only explanation I could muster, and I know it was incorrect.
I don't know how they do it. I would love to know. If someone does actually know, please let me know in the comments. Or at least if they've got a direction to somewhere that can tell me. Because I'm genuinely curious how that works. But yeah, I really want to try one of the modern kits because of that. They seem really cool. I would very much like to try them. But yeah, so I'm now trying to get into Gundam after many years of not.
The kits aren't as expensive as you'd think either.
Oh no, yeah, that's the other thing.
A lot of building kits, when you were first talking with Lynn about Gunpla and stuff, and I was like, dude, they're gonna be so fucking expensive. But apparently, just a foot tall kind of kit will set you back £50.
Like a really good one will set you back about £50.
Yeah, and it's coming
we've all
from
been broken by Games Workshop.
Right? Haven't we?
Yeah.
It's you can £27.50. Yes, I will get that one unit. And yes, I am talking about the Primaris fucking apothecary. Apothecary. The Primaris pharmacist.
Like a basic kit, like one of the smaller ones, you can get them for as little as £12 or something.
Which for a model kit is because I remember growing up, my father would build loads of plain kits,
Airfix stuff.
Airfix stuff. He would build loads of those, and those were always oh, do you want it's like a 6-inch long tiger moth biplane or whatever. Oh, that's going to set you back $50, and then the paints are $20 on top of that, and it's You know, which was a lot of money back in 1985.
If nothing else, I've just been I just assumed they were expensive because
I did too, because like things like that always are.
Because I was used to things coming from Japan, like say Godzilla stuff. I'm used to just not being able to afford Godzilla stuff ever. Because it has to be imported and it costs an absolute fortune. Whereas you get this stuff imported and it's still cheap.
There's just so, like, it is dramatically popular in Japan. Like,
oh, yeah.
I imagine they've just got so much of the stuff they're, like, paying to export it. It's like, just take some of this.
Well, I'll put over these fucking Gundams. God damn.
I'll put it this way. I've heard it compared to that Gundam is to Japan what Star Wars is to the West. So,
that explains a fucking
So
lot.
that's probably got a lot to do with it, yeah. But yeah, it's cool, and I look forward to getting more kits.
Great.
Nice.
So you know how you're always bitching at me for storage space? Can I start doing that with you?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I'm so glad I got that
I will say there
recorded.
is a slight difference between a like 8-inch tall Gundam figure and a Squishmallow that is 2 foot in
size of your
diameter.
flat.
Okay.
They are quite different because one can be put one you can put several of them in a shoebox and jam it under the bed.
Yeah,
the
you
other
can do
one
that with Squishmallows. I have plenty of smaller ones. I just have 2 big ones, Chernobog and Chewbacca.
Okay, but how many of the ones that are still like 1.5 foot in diameter do you have?
Look, okay, we live in a time of uncertainty.
And how many of the small ones do you have?
Look, okay, so this has shifted now. It's attacking me, all right. And I was gonna get the grey finned the black fin tip shark because he is super cute. He's got little eyes and a
He is very cute. I will not deny that he is very cute.
I was very tempted to get him as a gift for you because then you wouldn't be allowed to be angry because I know your favourite is the shark.
I do like the shark.
Yeah, but no, like all like joking aside, I did want to get it for you just because I know you like it.
Oh, thank you.
And I might still do that, maybe. I don't know. Act surprised.
And I'll buy myself some Gundams.
Yeah, I can buy you. Oh god, you've still got birthday money.
Yeah, I've got birthday money.
Fuck. Okay. Oh dear.
And that birthday money that you owe me because you were there because you spent it.
In my defense, we were pretty hard up. Oh my god.
But yeah, so I gotta go. I'm gonna go get some of that. But anyway, moving on. I also have been watching BattleBots.
That's American Robot Wars.
It is American Robot Wars because the first 2 seasons of the revival were added to Netflix.
Oh, cool.
I know,
okay.
because I put it in the watch list because I knew you'd want to see it.
Yes. And they didn't tell me you'd done that.
I thought you go, and then didn't tell me, you dumb fuck. I was like, wait, what?
No, because then I saw it. I was like, oh, wait, the new BattleBots. You're like, yeah, I added it to the list. And I was like, you didn't tell me.
And I was like, oh yeah, the one part of my plan I failed to execute. Shit.
But yeah, so just to get anyone up to speed, because earlier this year I watched the full run of Robot Wars, which, for anyone who isn't aware,
It's Robot Wars.
is a robot combat thing. So people build little remote control, little fighting robots, and then they battle them in an arena. And there was an American equivalent made called BattleBots, and I tried to watch some of the old BattleBots, which was done, I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was done a few years after British Robot Wars started, and it fucking sucked. It was fucking terrible, like unwatchably bad. Because it was on a comedy.
You don't really go for American comedic like primetime anyway. That's not like a genre you're interested in.
It was particularly bad because it was on an American comedy station, so they felt the need to insert jokes everywhere, and the jokes haven't aged well anyway, and its format was shit. Because they just miss out like half of the fights and just expect you to be invested. And they'd show them in weird orders, and there was like multiple leagues going off, so it was just really hard to keep track of. It was like individual fights could be fun and like interesting to watch, but like the format itself did everything to make it unwatchable, and I frankly just couldn't deal with it. I think I watched like the first season and a half of it, And then I like skipped to each season of it, like the first episode, to see if they made it less shit, and they never did.
What are your critiques on this TV show? Well, if they made it less shit,
It's actually a case where I find it hard to say anything other than it was just fucking terrible.
If you don't like it, you don't like it.
If you have nostalgia for it, not gonna throw any shade at you. I grew up with just a different type of the show, which I felt was vastly superior. So it hurt a bit more because I'd just gone through the full run of that show and seen all the ups and downsides of it, and then just watched a version of the same show but fail at everything. So it was like, oh, okay. However, I'm pleased to say that the revival, which happened, I think, at the same time as our Robot Wars revival, which was pretty great, it happened around the same time. And though some of the quirks of it still kind of carried on, like, I still don't think the format's quite as good. And it still has at least too many presenters.
How many does it have?
3. No, wait, it has one presenter.
2, 3, 4. There's like 5 people who like present it variously. And I know there's like 3 in like Robot Wars generally, and you could probably cut one of those out.
To be fair, I always thought the announcer was Craig Charles, so
he was
fuck
not.
My life.
I forget his name every time I stop thinking about him.
And the new one's Dara O'Brien, isn't he?
Well, he's the one who replaced Craig Charles.
Yeah, I love Dara O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's like 7 foot, like he's 7 feet high of pure Irish sass, and I love him. He has great teeth. I wish I had teeth like that. They're so cool.
But yeah, new Battlebots. I actually did enjoy a lot. But it is interesting seeing like the differences between the British show and this US show. So like one example is that they kind of lean harder on the sports aspect of it. So it's rather than them so in the British show that everything's got like each episode has like its own internal narrative because X amount of robots go into it, and then they whittle down to one robot which moves on to say the semi-finals, and each episode like is about that of like whittling it down until you eventually end up with a fight with just 2 of them. And so it means that each episode has its own internal narrative because you see one robot go up against everything and come out victorious at the end. This one goes more for like sports brackets. Battlebots goes more for like sports brackets. So each episode is just there's 4 fights, so which have 8 different robots, and so 4 of them win their fights and then go through. So each one doesn't really have that throughput, if you know what I mean. So I don't think the episodes really have the same verve to them because of that. You could watch the episodes, well, you could watch the fights in isolation, and they would mean just as much.
Okay, yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like,
yeah, you don't have the same continuity through it, sort of.
Yeah, and that continuity I think really adds to Robot Wars. The other thing is just how the meta works differently. So because the design of the actual arenas and stuff, flippers were much more prominent in the British show and didn't really appear anywhere near as much in Battlebots. So lots of robots were knocking around without self-righting mechanisms, and like things just didn't really have loads of things just didn't have an answer if they got flipped over, which was just bizarre because that was a death sentence after season 3 of Robot Wars. And I think the only things that ever did all right were like spinners that were too dangerous to get near to anyway. They were the only things that could get away without having a self-righting mechanism. I think the only one that managed to do well near the end was I always forget what it's called. Was it Typhoon? It was the one that won like the last season, and I always forget because it was kind of bullshit how it won. But I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, so I hope they add more to Netflix because I watched the 2 seasons of it and I did quite enjoy watching them. It's really interesting to see a different sort of style of the same show and seeing what they prioritize and what they don't. And it was kind of fun seeing a few British teams that I've been watching on TV for literally like what I first saw like a couple of decades ago show up with different robots, which was really fun. Like the Razor team show up because they have a robot in BattleBots called Warhead.
Oh, cool.
Which was fun, and there's a couple of them show up like that.
I did not realise there was enough like money in it to fund like international trips.
Oh yeah. There's a bunch of Robot Wars people show up in it. Sometimes they don't ever mention this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, you'll see, there's this team from Britain, and you go, wait, that guy, he's the guy from Behemoth, like, or like, that's
I
the
guess
dude.
they enter different robots because there will be different like rules about what you're allowed, I suppose.
Yeah, the only real exception is God, I always forget which one it is. I think it's I think it was Kilohertz, the guy that had that. He entered with one that I don't know if it's the exact same one. That he entered into the Robot Wars revival, but it looks the same, but it might be slightly bigger because I think the weights are slightly different.
Yeah. Do they have any flippers in the American?
Oh yeah, they do. And
I was just imagining like a British team turning up with a flipper, and the Americans like, "What is that? There's no weapons on it," and then they're being flipped for the first time, being like, "You can't do that. What are you doing?" But no.
Yeah, there's one called Bronco that does actually do really, really well.
Okay, right.
But their flippers don't tend to be wedges either, because like one of the staples of Robot Wars is a
absolutely.
flippy wedge, and they just don't have flippy wedges really, which is just weird. Although I will say there is one thing that it is retained from the original run of the show that drove me up the wall, and that is that every now and again they will just go, let's see how the other competitors did, and then they'll just run through 4 fights that they don't show you the complete fight of, and just say this one won it. So, for example, the team that ran Carbide in the UK, they went there with a very similar robot, and I don't think any of its fights got shown in its totality, which kind of sucks. Because I was like, I want to actually see these, but they just didn't show them, which was like just weird. I think they removed the ones that weren't super interesting, is I think what they actually do, but I still want to see them. I think they do put them up on YouTube, to be fair, but still, it's just kind of a weird thing that the show does, and it just makes it feel like some teams are getting like a bit of a rough end of the deal.
Do they still have the big nut?
They do still have the big nut.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Which is very funny because I always assumed that was there just so they could repeatedly say big nut because it was on a comedy channel where they made terrible sex jokes all the time.
Yeah.
But no, they're still competing for the big nut.
Okay, well, yeah. Some jokes just never get old, Wib. I mean, I don't know what you're on about. It's a classic.
But yeah. But anyway, I've been rambling for far too long, so I shall now turn over to the Drummond Matthew, and I will ask you what you have been up to in the last few months. Few months? Few weeks?
Oh my god. I mean, the list wouldn't be much longer, honestly. Partially because I can't remember. Last few months, we've not as much as you. We've done bits and bobs. The main thing we've watched since the last recording was a 3-part mini-series. It was 3 episodes, but the episodes were an hour each, so I guess anyway, it's a series called Time. With Sean Bean or Sean Bourne, depending on your personal preference. Like content warning for it's set in a prison, so there's lots of like fairly horrible prison stuff happening. But it is good and incredibly depressing. Because it's
just what we need in these trying times.
Yeah, right. We watched it. Basically, there was multiple moments of like floods of tears each of the 3 episodes. But that said, if you've got the spoons for it, I do recommend it. It's really good. But yeah, it's a pretty, because like you've got to do things set in prisons quite well because
it needs that kind of sincerity.
And, like, I did really enjoy things like Orange is the New Black. Like I enjoyed that at the time, and it does show the awful aspect of prisons, but it also has like the fun, jokey side of it as well. And they do show moments where like the prisoners are having a good time, which it's bound to happen because it's people hanging out or whatever. There is bound to be good times, probably, even though it's a hellscape that people probably shouldn't be sent to. But
Yeah.
I'm sort of skirting around that side of things for now. But yeah, this does not have that. This just has the prison is awful. Prison is awful for everyone, and it will fuck you up. And once you've kind of gone into it, that's kind of it. You're pretty stuck, unless you're really lucky. And it's just like, oh, this is bleak, but it is very good. And Sean Bean is excellent. The other guy
Sean Bean
in
is
it.
just excellent.
I've forgotten that there's like it's shown from the perspective of like two characters. So Sean Bean, just to give a bit of context, his character, I can't remember what his character's name is.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean, yeah. He's just doing his standard Yorkshire accent, which is just glorious.
Love it. Can't get enough of that, honestly.
No. So he's a 50-odd-year-old, or however old Sean Bean is now, probably a bit older than that. He's a school teacher, an English teacher, and he's an alcoholic before he goes to prison, and he's drinking after work, and he drives home drunk and crashes into a cyclist and kills him. So he gets sent to prison for 4 years for manslaughter, or dangerous driving, or whatever the official thing is. So he's like not
I think that's involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was just dangerous driving. I think he said. But anyway, that he goes to prison for 4 years for that, and he doesn't have any kind of that background or anything, or so he's a little bit out of his depth in there. But it kind of just shows. So half of the show is from his perspective of how he's dealing with that, which not that well, and then the other half is from one of the warden's perspective. And the warden's story is also brutally sad because he's got a son who's gone to a different prison, and then the prisoners in that prison find out he's a prisoner.
He's a Screw's son.
Screw's son, yeah, exactly. And then he gets moved. They end up having to like smuggle things into his own prison to appease the various people in his prison, so the ones in the other prison don't beat up his son. And it's just like, oh my look, it's just it's very that these things will happen in their awful places. And even they do say, like, at one point, some, like I said, content warning for a lot of stuff. So hopefully you don't mind hearing, various people don't mind hearing this.
What's the content warning that you're going to...
This one is for suicide.
Okay,
So, yeah, sorry everyone.
Skip 30 seconds ahead, you'll...
But yeah, one of the inmates commits suicide in his cell, which is horrifying in itself to watch. And then you see his family outside the thing, like protesting and thing, be like, he shouldn't. He had various mental health problems. He shouldn't have been in prison. And this warden guy's like, yeah, no, like at least half of the prisoners, if not more, should not be in this prison. They should be in a mental health facility. But there's no funding for that. And I'm very sorry. We do the best we can. And it's just this heartbreaking moment of like, he knows that this isn't where they should be. They're doing the best they can, and all this shit still happens because that's not the place, and that's not how the system should be. And it is. And it's just like everyone. It's just a weird moment of like, yeah, these two people are on like opposite sides, or they're like, having a go at each other, but they're also all agree the same thing. But because of the system, they've been placed onto these. It's like, oh yeah, it's really
that
brutal.
Is so.
But it is.
Raw.
If you have the spoons for that, it is really well done, and you will be crying. But it's worth watching if you can. Yeah,
it's not... Personally, if I want to get depressed about the carceral system, then I'll go and speak to the family member I have who is an ex-prison guard.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't see a problem with anything
I'm not
that
sure
was
you'll
happening.
Get the same. Yeah, and it's So I probably should have had an even bigger warning at the start, because it's not our usual more upbeat podcasty topic, but it was just so good. I did want to recommend it still, even though it is like not at all fun. If that makes sense.
Sometimes a thing that isn't fun but is
necessary.
It still feels necessary.
It's still worth a big recommend, and with the caveat of if you've got
entertainment doesn't have to be nice or fun or uplifting to be good.
But also, it doesn't have to be misery porn either.
Not everyone can deal with it. As you say, yeah.
Yeah, and I think because it was only three, I think they're hour-long episodes, but there's only 3 of them, so it doesn't feel like it is just, even though it is kind of just bleak the whole way through. There is a few uplifting moments as well, so it's not entirely just that. And because it's so short, it can kind of get away without having as much of the light-hearted relief, because it's not, if it was like a 20-episode series or something, you couldn't do it for that long because it would just be too much. But because it's so short, it can get away with it a bit more, which is quite nice.
That makes sense.
And it's quite nice watching something that's like, it is just there you go, like, we have this story to tell, we've told it, that's us done, we're cool. which is quite nice in this era of like sequels and whatnot. Yeah, no, I recommend. On a lighter note, we've been watching the new series of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I keep meaning to say that, to watch it.
Yeah, it's I don't know when it's out in this country officially. I've been watching it in this country officially. So
You've been watching it legally, and we do not condone not doing that.
No, absolutely not. It's good.
I do. Fuck them.
I won't go into too many details because a lot of people won't have seen it yet. But I
haven't seen the last season.
It acknowledges the pandemic. So it doesn't make a big deal about it or even really mention it. It's just in the background you see people like random like uniformed coppers in the background wearing masks and things, and you're like, oh, they're not like pretending it's not happening. But they've also not made it like the main feature of the series. But the main feature of the series is because this is filmed post various events that have happened in the last couple of years involving police, which everyone is very aware of.
I'm just going to say, Drumbly Bumbly, you really are bringing up the primo happy content.
Oh no, but Brooklyn does it in a funny way, but it's still very serious. Yeah, but it's like, it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I have been intrigued by this because I know they they basically binned their entire plan for the series.
Yeah, most of the episodes were canned off.
Which honestly, fair play to them.
Yeah.
That took some fucking balls. Good on them.
Can I say a spoiler from the first episode, or shall I avoid spoilers?
I haven't. I'm like 2-3 seasons behind, dude. Please don't spoil.
Oh, I won't say anything. But yeah, it's good. The way they don't like hide from pandemic stuff, but don't make it a big deal because they could have very easily made that the storyline or whatever, and how they deal with that, which fine, but it'd be a bit whatever. But yeah, they treat it really well in terms of they're all cops, but they're all very aware that they're good ones, but that's not what the majority is, and that's a big part of the storyline, is how they can try and change things and fix things, and it's done. It's like, I think we're 6 episodes in or something, but it's done really well so far. In terms of that. I was a bit worried that they'd try and
not acknowledge it, or just be like, well, it's okay, because if people didn't want to get murdered in cold blood for no reason, maybe they shouldn't just be there.
Or even just be like, oh yeah, but look, let's not worry about all those bad ones. There's good police officers too, so let's focus on those. And they really don't. They really do say, look, there's a problem, and it's a big problem. They don't hide away from it, but also it still doesn't make it too. It's still hopeful.
Okay,
which is nice.
That's nice.
I will be intrigued to watch it at some point, because
I think that has been souring me on wanting to watch it, because I know that there's that in the back of my brain going,
absolutely,
like this is kind of propaganda, however you square it.
Absolutely.
It is.
No, they do it. They do it really well.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that.
That's basically what we've got. We got the Linkin Park music pack for Beat Saber. That's very satisfying to teenage Matt.
Oh my god,
it is, because it's like the rest of Beat Saber is like, it's all more like dancey music and things, which works really well with Beat Saber. But you're more like dancing to it almost. Whereas Linkin Park pack, it just feels like you're just drumming, because you're just hitting like downbeats when there will be snare beats and things, and it just feels like drumming, it makes it a very different game, and it's very satisfying.
Okay.
Plus you can just sort of sing along and whatnot, and then get distracted because you're singing along too much to play the game.
You see, I could
Linkin
get
Park
it,
have lots of good songs.
No, I could get it, but like, I'm kind of like, well, if it's just drumming, I can just do that in real life. As good as the game I could be, in the end, it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Appease me.
That's mostly it. We went to a real life gig yesterday. It's not exactly podcast
what
content.
What the fuck? You irresponsible.
We booked it, I don't know, last year, was it? We got the tickets, and it moved from March to this time. We were like, it will move again, whatever. And then getting up to it, we're like, well, there's no legal reason why it's not on. It just doesn't feel very sensible. But I don't know. We were like, well,
if it helps, I have been actively mocking anti-vaxxers in person publicly.
Good.
Lately, because there was a couple of people I've seen with like fucking old dudes with like there was a guy I walked past in fucking the middle of the city, like in the middle of the mall, who had, yes, I'm proudly anti-vaccine, and I honestly did not mean to do this. It just slipped out as I was walking past. I laughed at him and called him a dumb C word. Which I'm not going to say, because I know YouTube algorithm classifies the C word on par with the N word. which
Yeah.
is no. No, the N-word is way more horrible, but okay, fine. And there was another old boomer guy I saw in the shopping mall. No, the grocery store.
What are we talking about?
A supermarket. There
A
we
supermarket.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
cool, yeah.
And he was wearing a mask, my ass shirt, which I just laughed at him and went, wow, dude, nice shirt. And then he like gave me a really angry look and literally was avoiding me for the rest of the shopping trip. It was really funny. It's like, hey man, if you want to take this car park, I will happily just fucking power bomb you. It's fine. Seeing as you probably have COVID, so it'd be really easy to fight you.
I do.
yeah,
you do have to imagine what sort of person you'd have to be in order to not only be irresponsible enough to like
Not power bomb the elderly.
to not want to get a vaccine. Like obviously some people can't get it because of medical reasons, and that's totally like understandable. Fine.
Yeah,
Very understandable,
yeah.
but it's also a very small percentage of people.
It's a very small percentage, but someone who actively is avoiding
It's
it,
like,
but
no,
also,
I don't care if your grandparents or
but-
like people you love die.
but also wishes to actively flaunt it and taunt people in the street with
Which
it.
is why I feel fully justified in mocking them in person. Because the
Unfortunately-
thing is, it's like, look, okay, by you going, I am proudly an asymptomatic
pro-death.
character. I am pro people you care about dying. That's like someone being a fascist in the street, being like, you know what? Not a fan of people who aren't white or whatever. It is self-defense mentally, and just it's fun to make fun of them because
The only
it's
problem
catharsis.
is that I don't know how
it pushes their victim complex so hard.
Yeah, I don't know how useful it is. It's a genuine problem that we have encountered so much on the internet over the last 5 years that people, when they get pushed into irrational belief systems,
yes, you
getting
can't.
them.
Okay, let me tell you,
Yeah.
I grew up in a cult, and I'm telling you, there is nothing that will break these people out.
Yeah.
You can't do that. But if you don't, you have to. It's not those people you're trying to change the minds of. It's the people on the fence you need to reach.
Yeah.
People who are going out and buying fucking sticker printers. People who are trying to evangelize to their friends and family about how the New World Order are putting Jewish microchips in you or whatever crazy fucking stupid bullshit. They are, unfortunately, 99.9% of them are lost. They anything that they are told, regardless of what it is, they will warp it in their mind to justify their beliefs. The people on the fence or the people on the periphery of that, those are the people you have a chance with. And sometimes just making fun of some dumb fuck in the street being anti-vax, somebody who may be on the fence is listening, and they notice that there's an element of social ostracization there. Maybe that's not... Why is that happening? Someone is confident enough... I'm not sitting here going, look at me, I'm the savior of the fucking world. But I'm just saying this is kind of how I view it in my brain. It's like, if someone comes at you on Twitter, someone comes at you in a YouTube comment or whatever, and says something really fucking horrifying, really fucking racist, really just performative arguments are needed. Ignoring the trolls, that doesn't help. That's how we get insults. That's how we get the alt-right. Don't leave them to their own fucking devices. And sometimes, yes, you need to performatively argue with these people. Even it's for your own fucking sanity. I'm getting heated about this. And I don't have a prepared statement. And I appreciate... I'm probably not putting across my points very well because I am very emotionally invested in this because, for fuck's sake... there are multiple reasons of why I appreciate. Yes, it probably is fruitless.
Yeah, I'm not saying let these people just do what they want. I'm not suggesting that. But yeah, you are right. There is it
is an incredibly multifaceted issue, and that has no easy definitive statement to summarize my feelings.
There's a time and a place for arguing with these people, and
Yes.
it's difficult to find the
And it's
exact
in the
right
fucking
voice.
street, because if they hit me, then it's just like, guess what? Now you have to self-isolate because they're blocking you up in a fucking cell, idiot. Again, I don't really believe in incarceration, but if you want to isolate these people like just put all the fucking petri dishes in one like room and just leave them until they. Like I am not a problem solver. I don't know.
Yeah, you're just sitting there going like, if we can breed super COVID.
Okay, so I've realised I've become the Robert Evans of this podcast. I'm like, I'm not saying bring back the guillotine, but I'm not saying don't bring back the guillotine. Also, I like to go-karting and hurt children. Direct quote from Robert
Matt,
Evans.
what were you talking about before we started getting into actionable threats?
Beat Saber.
No, we went to a gig.
A gig.
Yeah, my only point is that I was a bit skeptical about it because I was a bit like, we've been to one gig so far before, but it was outdoors, so we're like, I can get away with that, and it was quiet.
Yeah,
this one was like 1,000 people inside a sweaty room,
which is usually pretty
super weird. Mm-hmm. But they were doing a really good job of like on the way in, you had to show that you were fully vaccinated or had a negative test in the last 48
that's
hours.
fascism. I don't know if you know.
And it was super easy. We just because we're doing these tests every 3 days or whatever anyway.
I mean, you guys you've got work and stuff, whereas we work from home and we're just like,
and
I go out and I don't know, lick handrails and shit. Yeah. So Wait, no, that.
We happened to do one anyway. So we're like, all you had to do was show an email, and it wasn't anything. You just show your email, and it just said, this is. So you could very easily fake it, but it's just one of those ones where it's like. It's a difference between not doing it and then maliciously doing that. So you kind of have to believe that. So there wasn't anything like intrusive about it. It was just like just flash the email and they have a quick check and be like, yeah, that's cool. And then once you're inside, it's like it all feels like more normal because you're not worrying about that as much. Obviously, it's not an infallible system.
Yeah.
But it meant that we weren't standing there the whole time being completely freaked out by how many people were there.
No, that's cool. No, I mean,
which is good because we'd have to get used to that because I mean we're playing a gig in a month or so. So
maybe.
Well, in theory.
Yeah. Who knows what may happen between then and now.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, that's me done. Snipe.
Hello.
What have you been doing?
I've not really been doing anything new with my executive dysfunction. I've got to make it sound sexy because that makes me feel better about it. You know? But I've been playing a hell of a lot of Aliens Fireteam, the new Aliens game. And it's really fun.
Is it better than Aliens Colonial Marines?
So is getting punched in the fucking gooch for 24 hours straight, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Colonial Marines. I mean, they do take, I think there's a couple of bits from there that, like, they kind of take. Because as much as Colonial Marines is a punching bag, it did have a couple of decent ideas in there. I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now.
It had some cool little like design elements
that were obviously done early on before all of the shenanigans went down.
Yeah,
but no,
don't ever try and complete it because I've done it and it is not worth it.
I could have. You completed Duke Nukem Forever. You like that CBT for some fucking reason. I will say it's a over the shoulder third person like team like Left 4 Dead kind of game. Which is like, you're the Colonial Marines after what they start going to brutalize the very, very capitalist corporation bullshit. Was like, so you go to a site and you're like, under the, it's like the Civilian Protection Act or something, which basically means if the Colonial Marines think that you're mistreating your workers or fucking shit up in a really, like, horrible way, they can just fucking storm into your facilities and check. So, like, that's what you do. You're kind of not under the ANCAP kind of thumb anymore. Again, it's more nuanced than that, but they've got, like, they don't have any, like, loot boxes or anything like that. You don't buy that stuff. You get challenge cards that you can buy with in-game funds. Microtransactions, that's what I was going to say. Doesn't have any microtransactions. You earn money and stuff from doing missions, and then you can buy weapon unlocks and emotes and, like, hats and stuff. Which is pretty fun.
Is it like a thing you can play through single player, or is it?
You
like
can play
only...
through single player. It's 3 person instead of 4 person, like Left 4 Dead. And if you are playing solo, then you get 2 synths fighting alongside you, like Alpha and Beta.
Do they look like?
They look like working Joes.
Okay, so I was wondering if they look like regular people, like the ones you see in the movies, or if they look like
no, they
from...
don't. There is at least one synth in there that she's non-combat, but she's like an intel officer called Esther, And yeah, she's like Bishop and Ash in that regard. If she looks quite human. And yeah, like the combat synths you get, they're just like working Joes. They which is like they're not really sentient. Yeah,
an interesting way to implement literal bots.
Yeah, no, I thought that was quite clever as well. It's got the classic radar from Colonial Marines, like, the little bip kind of thing, the motion trackers, always fun.
You see, that was something from Colonial Marines, that when the stars aligned, so the game kind of worked, and you were in an area that felt like it had a bit of tension to it, and the aliens weren't being complete fucking morons. And you got that. When that worked, that was quite cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how a competent developer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was done by a team of 45 people, and they fucking blew it out the park. That just had its free update, whatever language words. But yeah, and I've been playing that with Longfang on our Thursday streams, and sometimes on like his streaming days. And we've just been having a blast with it. It's really cool. There's face huggers in it, which I don't like, but that's a me specific kind of problem. It's cool. The acting's good.
When I think about video game face huggers, I always think about the ones from
AVP.
The Alien trilogy game on the PlayStation 1, where you'd be walking along, and if you don't miss it, then it would just kind of like a sprite of it would crawl up your screen.
That would have given me literal nightmares as a child.
It was kind of goofy, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to spoil too much, because there is like a cohesive story. There we go. I can language. But you basically end up on an alien spacecraft. And it's just giga as fuck. Like, there's like a bunch of tubes that are just labias.
I mean, yeah, that's giga.
Yeah, it's like I walked into a room with Longfang, and it was just dicks everywhere, and I was like, Longfang, cover me. I cannot take in this amount of phallic imagery. I need to process this.
I can't take this many dicks at once. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say that.
That is a sentence you are going to regret.
That should be the title of this podcast. And then we get immediately banned off YouTube. But no, just so many dicks, so much phallic imagery, so much yonic imagery. And it's good. It's well done. You get you can like find upgrades. Like you can find like little special ammunition, so like you can get incendiary ammo, you can get like shock ammo, which is really good against synth targets. The fire is really good at obviously like the standard kind of like.
Do you fight things other than just xenomorphs then?
You fight synths, and yeah, you fight synths and aliens, and synths are obviously a lot trickier to fight, because the thing with the xenomorphs is that it's kind of like environmental storytelling, and you find it in like pickups as well. They brought like loads of like small animals like dogs, cats, and like rabbits and stuff on board, or like to this place for like studying xenomorphs. So that means that the standard kind of like just mindless, easy to shoot kind of like bullet like target practice enemies are all kind of like dog aliens.
Oh, cool.
So they
look like the ones from Alien 3?
They look like dog aliens. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They're called runners.
Oh, yeah.
And like you get the mini boss ones, so you get like the Prowler, which is basically like a hunter from Left 4 Dead. They don't show up on the radar because they stay hidden.
Okay,
which is funny because half the time you'll turn a corner and there'll just be one still in the middle of the corridor, being like, "You're right, mate. I'm just gonna pounce on you if you don't mind." But all they're like on the ceiling, and because like anyone who knows anything about games dev, it is impossible to make your players look up.
Yeah, it's quite difficult.
So it's actually a genius position for him. There's alien eggs later on in the game where if you don't destroy them quick enough, then they do the creepy open thing and the face huggers come out. You get like, there's one called a Praetorian, which is like this big, because they have like armor. So you've got one that charges, and you've got like the standard drones, which is the when a facehugger gets a human. So instead of like all the like the dog and cat aliens, you get like the big upright one that's just fucking barreling to, and those things they're quite hard to kill. Okay. They can just pick you up and fucking crush you. It's so cool.
That's cool because there is a problem.
There's a lot of
like,
there's some variation there. It's pretty cool.
You know, it's like the whole thing of that in some movies, a single xenomorph is like a fucking killing machine.
Well, you look at like Alien Isolation. You can't kill it. I mean, it gets really silly because I've seen a couple of like people stream it, and like this is my third playthrough. If you just go on the flamethrower, it goes and leaves you alone for 35 seconds, and you can do whatever the fuck you want.
You're just min-maxing it.
Yeah, I appreciate not everyone plays that way, but it does strike me as kind of like there is like a scene to, like a sequence towards the end that is pretty good at being kind of a bit panicky with a particular enemy that you just can't kill, which is like, that's really cool because that makes me feel even more like disempowered.
Is this in Alien Isolation or
no? This is in Fireteam.
Oh, okay.
Because I appreciate Aliens and Alien are basically two completely different genres. Where you've got we were talking about this during the stream. Alien is
horror.
It is creeping horror. It is gore. It's that kind of it's that tension. Aliens
is sci-fi
is
horror, the best kind of horror.
Honestly, if you add sci-fi to anything, I love it. Sci-fi horror, can't get enough.
Legit,
Sci-fi western, fucking here are the keys to my house, go fuck my husband.
It's
I
fucking
love it.
It's actually funny how I'm not a big horror guy. Like I can kind of like I've seen plenty of horror films, but I can kind of take or leave them. Except for sci-fi horror, like Alien, John Carpenter's The Thing, some of my favourite fucking movies.
You still need to see Event Horizon. I mean, I do too, but just because Sam Neill is my favourite grandpa. He on his Twitter, he has he basically has a farm full of ducks and chickens, and he just does loads of videos where it's like, "This is my chicken. Her name is Henrietta." My perfect Sam Neill impersonation, because not a lot of people realise he's an Aussie.
Yeah.
That's the thing, us Aussies. We're really good at American accents. We're so good at it. But yeah, no. It is really fun. It is a multiplayer only game. I mean, you can play it with like the two bots.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
it's intended.
It's intended as a co-op thing, and I really enjoy it. I like as a multiplayer game. I think it's very enjoyable, and it is like it's a tenner under standard retail price for a new video game as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's like instead of like 50 quid, it's like 40.
You know what would be cool? In a game like that, where
also you can get Hicks's shotgun in that game.
Nice. In one of those sort of games where you deal with the colonial marines, is if they actually had some levels, especially early on, where you are just doing the standard bug hunt and you are doing what I've always kind of assumed was killing non-intelligent life that was dangerous on other planets.
Yeah, and before anyone in the comments is talking about the comics, we're ignoring all the EU stuff. We're just talking about the movies.
Yeah, I couldn't give a fuck about the expanded universe stuff. I go by what is in the movie because, the way that is described insinuates that
not just another bug hunt.
Is just we're going after some other shit. We're used to going after just pests. And you could interpret that as just being like pests.
I see that as kind of just like
from Earth,
when they try and terraform a planet. It's like, there's a local bit of fauna that's aggressive and a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So we send in the colonial marines. It's basically like kill 5 crabs. I'll give you 2 copper kind of like job.
Because there's a difference between encountering an obviously intelligent alien life and encountering the equivalent of like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it plays well. The weapons feel good. They feel punchy.
How is the pulse rifle sound? Because
beautiful, absolutely fucking like that beautiful.
That's a specific question.
Yeah.
Well,
it matters.
Colonial Marines showed that that noise can get really fucking annoying if you don't loop it right.
If you're the one doing it and you're in a firefight, it just sells the alien kind of setting. So I honestly think if I was watching someone play it, if I was watching it in a movie, it would annoy me. But as you're playing it, I don't think it really registers. Cool. So yeah, I can recommend it. It's very fun. Mm-hmm. And they're popping out like free updates and stuff, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Which and that's pretty much the only new thing I've been doing, apart from we were joking earlier about my ADHD assessment forms. Which, all joking aside, I've sent those off, and the NHS, unfortunately, being as stretched thin as it is, I'm probably going to have to, like, wait 4 years to even talk to a doctor about that, to even be assessed.
It's going to be a while.
Which sucks, because I am having trouble so much. For those of you who don't know, ADHD is a penis. It's, I mean, at least I have looked at the symptoms and, like, what led me to apply, like, basically to send off to the doctor for a diagnosis, is basically I looked at a list of symptoms off, like, the NHS website, because that's where I live, and I'm not going to go and get it off, like, WebMD, because they'll be like, you have eyebrow cancer.
Yeah.
I looked at the list of symptoms, and it was literally just my autobiography. So I was like, this looks likely. So while I have not been formally diagnosed, it feels like it's probably going to go that way.
All I'll say is that
My brother's been, he's been assessed and is, he has ADHD, so.
I've been seeing things of people with it, talking about it, and I've just been going like, oh shit, yeah, that's just Snipe.
That's just who I am.
That's just describing my wife.
Yeah, because it's not all about bouncing off the walls and everything. It's about, like, yes, executive dysfunction. Like, literally...
You should probably explain that, because not everyone will know what it
Executive
means.
dysfunction is basically where, say I need to get some work done. Say I need to edit the podcast. I will sit there in absolute paralyzing immobility, and I just will not be able to bring myself to do it at all. It's not laziness. It's just the fact that emotionally I can't deal with that. And if I do try and force myself, it's horrifically miserable and bad and stresses me the fuck out, and I can't function. Hence, dysfunction. I didn't explain it very well, and I'm sure a lot of people who have formal diagnosis and people who have been living with ADHD for a long time will be able to phrase it in a way that makes sense and isn't annoying to listen to. But not me right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, even if it's not ADHD, there is something neurodivergent about my brain that is causing me these difficulties, and I would like to at least know what it is so I can start using certain tools and things at my disposal to help me function better. Because right now, when was the last time I did anything for the podcast? It's like when someone's like, hey, you should really, like, watch this show, and I'm like, I really want to do that, and I can't. I just can't do it. That's why it really sucks, like, someone's like, hey, I bought you this, like, I don't know, off the top of my head, completely hypothetical situation. I bought you this Gunpla, because I thought you'd like it. And I can't put it together because my brain ain't working that way. My brain says no. Again, these are, like, ADHD symptoms, but again, no formal diagnosis. I'm not saying I have it. I'm just saying this is something I struggle very severely with.
I don't know. I'm looking at the symptoms and
I'm not going to say I have it until a doctor says I do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. But the fact that you won't put the Gundam together until unless that becomes, like, the thing you're hyperfixating on. And then
hyperfixation. That's another massive thing. As anyone who's familiar with the channel or my work, they'll know that I am never hyperfixating on, I don't know, particular actors, particular actions, particular hobbies, particular turns of phrase. That's not something I ever do.
Particular series or franchises.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, seriously, it's looking like I probably got it. 'Cause, like, you can catch it. I've been wearing my face mask and everything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And if, like, I appreciate it does take a while to get diagnosed and everything, and it might be expensive, but if you're struggling with, like, mental health in any regard, I really do urge you to just try and get some help. Because, like, honestly, like, for a long time, I wouldn't even go to see a therapist because I just, for whatever reason, people sometimes just don't want to go see therapists, and that's fine. But it is a good idea to at least try, because it can really, really help you regardless of what you are struggling with. You are worth it, and we care about you. And you should care about yourself, more importantly. And now I'm going to start talking about dicks again. So, okay. So I was thinking the other day about dicks. No. Diffusing with humour.
Well, you know what would be a good distraction?
You know who will kill children in the Middle East, Sophie? Okay, also I've been listening to Behind the Bastards, and it's really good. And it's kind of delivering depressing kind of historical bullshit or modern day bullshit about people who are complete dicks in a funny and relatable way. So yeah, I can recommend the podcast Behind the Bastards. It's very good.
Actually, because this was something that I tried to start on the podcast a long time ago, but we all kind of forgot about it.
What, like a fight?
Which is like recommending smaller like channels or creators.
Oh yeah, Behind the Bastards. This small thing that no one's ever heard of.
Millions and millions of downloads, like a month. Yeah, it's fine. I wanted to just recommend a channel that I've got really into over the last like 2 days.
So you're hyperfixating.
Because I stumbled on them and they're just really good. It's called TRDQ Gavin Spence.
TRDQ Gavin Spence.
It's on YouTube. It stands for Transformers Reviews Done Quick. And it is literally just like a couple of minute long reviews of Transformers toys, but with a kind of really fun like sense of humor behind it. And it's just a slightly grumpy Scottish guy talking about this stuff, and it's just kind of fun. And he doesn't have anywhere near enough subscribers. Mm-hmm. So if you're at all interested in Transformers, even slightly, I'd say go give it a watch and see if it's something that would amuse you.
I'll say
I really enjoyed it.
One of my favorite kind of things I've seen of him is like, oh yes, this. Imagine a Scottish accent. I'm not doing one. Oh yeah, see, I put it together like this, and if you don't like it, you can suck my balls. And I really respect that level of just like, cards on the table, earnestness, that's something you don't get. It's something you don't get nowadays. Earnestness. Well, good. But yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
I love it how you've managed to fucking just shove your balls straight into my segment. Like, you talk for like an hour and you're like, okay, Snipe, you've talked now. I want to talk about Transformers YouTube.
I thought your segment was done. It was actually part of a segment into the questions, like a segue into it, rather.
Yeah, well, it wasn't very good.
Okay.
Speaking about questions, drumbly bumbly.
So your section
Here's
was in fact
questions.
over.
Yes. Questiones, por
yes,
favor.
we have some. They came to the email, which is what, Web?
Ooh, he turned it round on you. Get fucked.
Yeah, but Web's a pro, so he knows, so it's not a stress for him.
Okay, wow, fuck you, Matt.
Well, no,
You come into my house, fuck my husband and the couch he's sitting on, and you treat me like this?
I actually forgot. Is it the drama Matt?
Yes, that's right.
TheDrummerMatt@gmail.com.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the email address. Send it to that one. Yeah.
Yep. All
That's
right, we have a bunch.
Oh, good.
Not a crazy amount, but enough to be satisfied.
Okay.
Pineapple Fantastico.
Hello.
First up, sorry in advance, Web.
Don't apologise to him. He knows what
Snipe.
he's done. Hi.
Have you heard of or seen Squishables?
Yes.
From what I can see, they're Squishmallows, but there's more of them, so you can get more.
They're
squishy in their toys.
I'm a Squishmallow purist. So anytime I walk into a shop and there's like the TY versions of Squishmallows, Wib will tell you, I point at them and be like, imposter, you dare stand where they stood!
I mean, they are just demonstrably worse versions.
Yeah, they are. I mean, thank you for thinking of me, but they are garbage because they're not Squishmallows.
Okay, good. Do you know which ones specifically these are, or are you just assuming they're garbage?
I think they have
they're
things
not
like
Squishmallows?
melon cats, and they've got like kawaii faces and shit.
Yeah, that I did a quick Google.
Yeah, I thank you for thinking of me though. I am just like busting your chops.
Okay.
I'm just being silly, but yeah.
Then their actual question. They're 17, currently having to think about career paths.
Oh,
What did we want to do when we were growing up? Presumably work-wise, but also actually any adventures that a younger you wanted to embark on. So, because that's the thing, people say, "What do you do?" or "What do you want to do?" and like you assume that you're talking about work, but like life isn't work.
No.
Like,
Wow,
you're
I
more
can't
than
believe
your
you're being so political and
you're
anti-capitalist.
more
right
than
now.
your job. So I don't know. But I think this question is, it's kind of asking both. I think.
I would say my life has been maybe not a barrel of laughs, so I ain't gonna get too far into
Well,
it.
it's not about what you have done.
No.
It's about what you
It's
wanted
about
to.
things I wanted to do desperately, but was unable to and stopped from doing.
Okay.
So, I wanted to be a car mechanic. I wanted to fix cars. I loved cars. Honestly, if someone just came up to my door and was like, "Hey, I paid your tuition, go fix cars," I would fucking do it in a heartbeat. Because I used to love taking shit apart and putting it back together again. Even though, like, the funny thing is, like, in the house, if the computer breaks, Wibb's the hardware guy, I'm the software guy. I fix software. So, I don't know. I always wanted to do that. I just really like building shit and putting stuff together and fixing it. Fixing stuff made me feel useful. And it was nice, especially because I grew up dirt poor, so if something broke, you had to try. Either you fix it or you don't fucking get another one. So it made me feel real cool, and yeah. I also wanted to travel. I wanted to travel all over the world. And, like, learn different languages, go have a torrid affair in, like, Spain or something, have a baby or two with a hot local, that kind of thing. Which obviously I did.
I feel like you're going through a plot of some film that I'm not aware of or something.
No, I obviously did that. Like, Jose, I miss you, I love you, tell the kids that Mama's dead. Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Fucking hell.
I'm sorry, Jose.
I would write down tell the kids your mama's dead as like a potential title, but I think that's too harsh.
I'm just imagining if this was a movie that cut to some guy in Spain with two toddlers screaming in his ear and he's like, "Come back to me." One day, sweetheart.
You made
One
me
day,
like
mi
this.
corazón. One day. But yeah, no. So that's my incredibly serious and not at all weird answer.
Mine's really boring because
You wanted to have a wank in every airport in the UK.
And I
in
did.
every UK, but like airport bathroom.
and I want to say I achieved that in 2007. Don't let anyone tell you your dreams can't come true.
Follow your dreams.
Your dreams can come true.
Here come.
That is no.
Sorry, Kev.
You didn't say you didn't do it. Who hasn't had a wank in a fucking, like, in an airport bathroom while you're having a bit of a cry wank because you've had to leave your Spanish lover and your two illegitimate children behind
But
to
you're
go back
also
to your normal
horny.
life. But you're also really horny and like there's something about the smell of coffee and like 3-day-old reheated bean burritos that just really get you going. So you gotta have a bit of a cry wank to get through it, you know?
I never really had like a decided thing I wanted to be when I was a kid. I'm a really like boring person in that regard. Like I don't.
No, you are not boring. You are simple, which is not to say you are stupid. It just means you are a very kind of pragmatic and simple individual.
Yeah, I've never really had. It's like I've never really had heroes. I've never really had like a.
I have. I wanted to be Sailor Moon as well.
I've never really had like a grand like plan of what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do.
I also wanted to be an actress. Sorry.
I think the only thing I really was like the closest thing I've had which is that once I was like a late teen, like in my late teens, and I started like making stuff and putting it on the internet. I kind of knew in my bones that at some point this was the way I was probably going to end up making my living.
You were such a cynical child.
Making something on the internet because it just felt right. Which is what has actually happened. So, but I don't know if that's a dream. I think it was just knowing deep in my bones that I was fucking terrible at everything else.
Stop being self-deprecating.
I meant more that I was in the standard like system of like 9-to-5 jobs just didn't gel with me in a way.
I mean, the whole like, if it needs to be considered a real job, it needs to be 9-to-5 in an office is fucking dog shit.
Yeah, I'm not being self-deprecating. I'm saying that the world is fucking terrible in it. I find it really hard to exist in that.
I mean, shit, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't need to slap me.
Yeah, but you kind of liked it.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Better.
Okay. So yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. I didn't. Yeah, I'm too pragmatic for my own good, I guess.
Oh God, Drama Matt, please cheer us up.
Please have a whimsical story.
No, I mean, I vaguely remember as quite a young kid. At one point, I wanted to be like a fighter pilot, and then I grew up slightly and realised didn't want to learn how to murder people as a job. And then beyond that, I've kind of the thing I'll say in advance is that this is going to come across, and I'm fully aware that it's the most, white male privileged, etc. thing. But basically, I've just taken the lazy option at every point and not had to make any decisions. So, like, I was at school, and then I was quite good at the numbers ones, so maths and physics and things, and not so good at the righty ones. So I was like, I could go out and find an apprenticeship or a job, or I could just stay at the same school and do A levels and the things that I'm like okay at. So I did that, and then I was like, well, I could find a job after A levels, but also if I just keep doing the same thing, I don't have to bother thinking about what job I want. So I go to uni to do one of the things I did at A levels, and I've kind of just got to the end of uni. I was like, well, I could get a job now, or I could just try and find whatever the next education thing is after this, so I don't have to make a decision yet. And then I do that for about a bit, decide it's too hard, leave that, and go, well, I could find a real job, or I can get on a grad scheme where I get to try do different things, so I still don't have to make a decision. So I kind of stumbled the whole way along, and then do the grad scheme placements and be like, which of these was the easiest? I guess I'll do that one for a bit. So it's sort of, yeah, I've kind of bumbled along and never had to make an actual decision. I'm fully aware that that's a very privileged position, that I'm lucky enough to have these opportunities. So I'm aware that I probably sound like a twat for saying this.
Okay, can I just say something? I need to confess. I thought you, out of everyone I knew, you have your shit together the most. And I was like, I would think about you at school, like, oh yeah, he was probably just really focused on becoming an engineer. And he was like, I'll do this and I'll do this, and to hear that you bumblefucked your entire way through it has shaken the fucking foundation of my life.
Yeah, at any given opportunity, it was the path of least resistance. And it didn't mean I didn't have to make a decision.
Honestly, that sounds like I'm being really bitter. I'm not. I'm just like, no. It just shows you you don't know someone's story until they tell you.
I think I learned from from a very early age that, you're at school. People's, I'm never going to use this when I'm older or whatever, and that's a very valid point, although quite often you do, but in unexpected ways. But I think I just kind of realised that for me, I was learning to pass the exams, not because of, you need to learn this and it's inherently valid, but this is what society kind of expects. And if you just kind of get on with it, or just accept that you're doing this and you're learning you're not learning a skill, the skill that you're learning is how to pass exams. And if I told myself that and taught myself how to do that, I was like, well, I can do this. This is like the minimum effort. I could pick up a fuss about how this is nonsense and bullshit or whatever, but I could just do the thing that takes the less effort. And that's been my overarching theme the whole way through. Basically.
I like how
you two fucking pragmatists.
I like how between us that was a question that was oh, what were your hopes and dreams as a child? And we've all just gone, oh yeah, well, reality kind of sucks.
I will say, given
but different ways,
different perspectives.
We have three different sides of the bullshit triangle. But I will say to you, Pineapple Fantastico, fantastic, fucking love that name, it's so good. I will say one thing, you might be vastly different from me. I don't know how your brain works or whatever, but the way the world kind of hit me in the face, because I was fully not prepared to go out in the world, is the fact that if you wanted to, say you want to go to Taiwan, you want to go, you always wanted to go to Disneyland or whatever, focus on it. Pick something that you really want to do and really fucking commit to it, because you have to work hard. Even for something as fun as, I want to go to Japan and buy a bunch of fucking Gundams or whatever. Unfortunately, this shit takes a lot of direction and energy.
I have genuinely always envied people who were
know what they want.
At 12 years old, they were like, I want to be a vet, and then they just do that.
Yeah, those people are really rare.
Yeah, I know.
So, don't feel bad for not having a burning, I need to become a doctor. I need to fucking... bleh. Don't feel like a failure. Don't feel bad, because that is literally the majority of us.
Yeah, and also it's it's way less of a thing nowadays to you have a job straight from school or straight from whatever, and then that's your career for your whole life.
Yeah.
So, it is, it can be the things that you do now and paths that you choose will put your life down a different path and all that. But like, it doesn't mean that in 10 years, if you find out that's not what you're enjoying, you can change. Like that's a way more standard thing now than in previous generations where you get stuck into a job and then that's it and that's just what you do and you are a shop worker or you are a bank or you are I don't know, whatever career you end up in. Not that I'm suggesting banking.
Don't get into that.
But yeah, like you don't, and then you see people miserable in their job for their whole life. Like it's quite easy now to people like jobs and things aren't expecting the same amount of experience and things as in the past. It still might be hard to change, but it's very doable compared to years ago, I think. So it's like it might be a big decision. It will definitely feel like a big decision, but you don't have to be too scared about it. If that makes sense.
Like, just remember that you are never no matter how old you get, it's okay to walk away from something, no matter how much time you sunk into it. So if you say you really
you can just leave, hit the brakes.
Yeah, basically is what I'm saying. But no, it's like if you I'm not just gonna say, oh, don't like working at Amazon, just don't, because I know that life is so much more fucking complicated than that. But what I'm advising is, say you want to get a job and you go, well, I'll just drift into this one because then I can decide what I want, and then you feel after 5, 6, 10 years that you can't leave it, but it doesn't make you happy. You can leave it. Just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's good. And you can walk away.
As Matt said earlier, your career doesn't have to be your life, so,
Yeah. So basically what we're saying is it's okay to bumble.
It's perfectly valid to choose a job that you just do, what you need to get by, and then the important bit of your life is what you do after work, which is, and not enough people think that. Enough people think, their work, I don't know, some people have to work extra hours and things, but a lot of people think, you are your job and you're defined by that, and that's fine if that's what you want, but it doesn't have to be.
It's legit. It shouldn't be the norm.
Legit, I fucking hate it when someone is introduced in a news segment and they'll go, "This is Sally from Birmingham. She works as a cashier," and it's like that she is a cashier is an irrelevant piece of information.
That's not
and she also is really into archery, or I don't know. She's also
she's a fantastic findom.
Telling me that she is incredibly into black metal is a far more
way cooler.
Is a far more relevant fact to tell me about them than what they do for a living.
But rather than confuse this poor person,
yeah, none of this is good advice.
Don't ever take advice from us. Oh my god.
Take advice from me. I advise you to have a biscuit and just take a deep breath and realise that you are enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be fair, they weren't explicitly asking for advice. They were just asking for what we did.
Yeah, but also you can't help but want to give advice.
Yeah, of course.
With the octogenarians that we fucking are.
Fucking yeah.
We're going to tell the kids.
Right. All right then, moving on. Rob has some thoughts on Warhammer greeting cards.
Cool.
That was a thing that happened, wasn't it?
That was a thing that happened. So he's got a few good suggestions. So
let's hear him, Rob.
We've got the Astra Militarum congratulates you on reaching the age of your conscription.
Oh, that's grim. Nice one.
Yeah.
This one's less grim. Get soon.
Yeah.
And we're back to grim. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when my ravaged body is placed inside an armed sarcophagus because society has an odd attitude to disabled veterans?
That's a fair fucking point. Jesus Christ.
I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah, no, good work.
All right, next up. Chayat?
Chayat. Yeah, hey, Chayat.
So there's this meme that most fans would love to live in the universe of their fandom, but 40k fans, not so much.
No.
So if you could be anyone or any creature in the 40k universe, but not an already named character, who would it be and why?
I would be a Mandalorian, because I don't want to fucking go anywhere near the 40k universe in any way. I appreciate if I lived in Star Wars, it would be the same kind of fascistic fucking, iron grip on humanity. But I'd be able to get a jetpack and a laser sword. I feel like
both of those universes have enough inhabited, there we go.
There you go.
Inhabited planets on, somewhere far away, you could kind of just hide a bit. And
Yeah,
just
but I
have,
also
like,
don't want to have like, okay, so this is one of the big things where like why I wouldn't really want to live in the 40k universe. Apart from the fact that either show up and I'd get like virus bombed by a fucking inquisitor who didn't even know anyone was living there, but like say like you're in your world, you're going to college, you're going to uni, you're doing fucking you decide okay, you know what, maybe I will have an orgy with my entire like block of flats. Why not? And then suddenly people are killing each other. Slanesh is like, nice, maybe you should snort cocaine because it's great. Listen to Girls Aloud really, really loudly.
Backwards,
that's hot. And it's like, I just, honestly, of all the cocaine-fueled orgies I've been to, I don't want to have someone, like a demonette suddenly tear its way out of somebody. I'm like, I don't know, like pegging or whatever. I don't need that in my life.
If I could be someone in a fictional universe, you know what I'd be?
You'd be the person fucking killing me as I turn into a
No.
demonette.
I'd want to be like...
The very best?
I'd want to be an ensign on a Starfleet ship, but not like...
You want the lower decks.
No. What I want to be is I want to be around about... like an ensign on like an Excelsior class, because if you're like on like say a Miranda or equivalent, then you're going to get blown up.
Okay.
Or if you're on an Oberth, you're going to be one of those ships that's found drifting because a virus has gone crazy on it. But Excelsiors, you're probably going to be okay on an Excelsior because they only really appear in shows when they need to like drop off an admiral.
That's cool.
Like-
So you want to be basically a
And an
fancy
ensign-
pants like.
And an ensign means you
Cruise
get
ship.
to see the cool shit because you can be on the bridge and stuff, but you also
you
don't
wanna-
have too much responsibility.
You want to work on an ocean liner. You want to
No,
work.
I don't want to work on an
you
ocean
want
liner.
No, you want to work on a space ocean liner.
No, I
And
don't.
plus, we're not talking about Star Trek. We're talking about.
I was going to say, so your answers for this 40k question are a Mandalorian from Star Wars and an ensign from Star Trek. I mean,
I think I got the.
it's on
cooler
trend
choice
for the
out of
two
it.
of you. So
You see,
Wow.
You see,
Wow.
You see
Accurate,
what happened.
But wow.
You see what happened there was like, I thought you'd said 40. Yeah, I thought you said 40k, and then Snipe responded saying like a Mandalorian. So I just assumed that I'd misheard, and it was like any fictional universe. That was my mistake.
Okay, yeah,
And
that
my
is actually
mistake.
on you because if you ever take pointers from me, you are beyond fucking help.
In which case,
In 40k,
I don't know. I'll be one of the surviving squats because their society is mildly less shit than the main Imperium.
I would be a scythed Hierodule. Cause I like your meat in my tummy. And that's the way Tyranids talk. You cannot. I don't care what fucking Dawn of War said with the fucking hive mind, like, consume. Like that kind of shit. No, it's, oh, have a little snacky wacky. Oh, you're so big and hungry. That's me. I'm a big scythed Hierodule. Oh, they're so pretty. Oh, I love them. They're very nice. But yeah, that's what I'd be. Drummer Butt, what about you? Would you just be, because I know your answer, you'll be like, I will be a human who's living on an agri planet that the Imperium doesn't know about, and I just want to live out my life making, like, farming space corn.
Yeah, you know me.
I do. I've known you for like over a decade, dude.
I was going to twist it up slightly. I was going to be like a pilot-y crop duster type person, so like just to make it a bit more interesting than being just a farmer. I don't necessarily mean just a farmer, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, I was gonna mix it up by being like someone who like flies a plane on their farm. And
You're
then on a
like
hybrid planet that's hidden away.
Okay, I've got it. You're an
Okay.
ex like pilot. There's no war on the little planet you're on. It's like a big kind of like anarchist commune, and everyone's kind of like super cool with each other. And like you were like you would fly the planes and crop dust stuff with like, you know. So you're like a really good pilot, and you've kind of retired.
Can I have a dog that sits in the spare seat?
Yes, you have it, and he also has a little bandana and little goggles.
Nice.
Yes. And then like you retire quite early because, you know, you and Rue have a kid, and like you settle down, and then on like, you know, on weekends just for the local commune's kids, you basically take them up flying, just you know, and you talk to them about like, oh yeah, you know, like talk to them about how they could be a pilot one day if they want to, and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really wholesome kind of thing. And then you end the evening with peach and like peach lemonade, sitting on your porch with a tuft of wheat in your mouth, with your hat tilted, staring out across the fields and listen to the soft sounds of children playing in the distance, and the air slowly cooling as the sun sets.
Yeah, that sounds really pleasant.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to all go horrifyingly wrong at the end.
How dare you?
I'm just
The
really
soft
shocked.
sound of exterminatus happening or something.
No!
I'm really shocked that didn't just become the plot of The Shadow at any point. I was waiting for it.
Okay. I wondered why I looked over and you were just like hunched in your chair covering your fucking eyes.
Because I was just assuming that was coming. If it wasn't The Shadow, it'd be the plot of like Terminator 2, or it'd be like, I don't know, Commando or something.
Well, I'm
Last Action
sorry
Hero.
to surprise you, but that sounds like a good. Honestly, the kind of like fucking cowpoke sitting on a veranda drinking lemonade as the sun kind of sets. That's how I want to
Sounds
retire.
lovely.
And then an orc rock lands on the planet.
Yeah, and then they get out, and then you teach them the ways of anarchism, and they're like. They're a little bit boisterous and they break a few things, but they think you emus are all right actually. And they have like an orc fight club, so they get out all of their unchecked aggression. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I see for you, Drama Matt.
All right, yeah, what Snipe said.
And the Imperium and aliens never know you're there.
Yeah,
Which is exactly what you want if you're in 40k.
Absolutely. Check out other pointers. On the case of being able to identify things that Snipe would hate, I suspect they hate mochi.
I fucking hate mochi!
Oh shit, yeah, last time we had the whole thing about goat cheese.
Okay, I tried goat cheese. I hate goat cheese.
Well, I'm skipping ahead a few questions here, but Sepulcrave Grown. First, I absolutely see goat cheese as a food for which Snipe, mild cheddar Star Wars, would have an unreasonable burning hatred.
Okay. You come to my fucking house? You drag my name through the fucking mud?
Oh yeah, but they're not wrong, are they?
No,
they
that's
make
why it hurts so much.
They make a salient point. It has to be said.
Jesus fuck. Okay, Chaya, what the fuck did I do to you to fucking have you fucking drown me in my own house?
I'd skipped forward. That's Sepulcrave Grown.
Okay,
I'd skipped
dude.
forward a few questions.
Fucking. Okay. No. This is the thing. Goat cheese is mild, but you know what it also is? It's fucking stupid. If I want to eat Greek yogurt, I'll just eat it. I won't like pretend it's not a kink thing to suck it out of a goat's nipple. Okay? Fucking. What I'm saying is, if you like goat's cheese, you fuck goat. No, I'm not saying that.
What you're also saying is that we were 100% right in thinking that goat's cheese had the vibe of something that you would really hate.
Well, the thing is, it's like I hate it because it's so boring. Yeah, I know, mild cheese.
Snipe, mild cheddar Star Wars.
Get
Says
fucked.
that goat cheese is boring.
Okay.
I might just start calling you Snipe mild cheddar Star
If you-
Wars in like day-to-day conversation.
Okay, well, it depends how
I
well
love
you can
this.
take a fucking right hook, mate, is what I'm going to say.
I get
Fucking
everyday
mild
conversations via the internet.
cheese. I have
Thank you,
never
Grown.
been
This is
dragged.
the
I have
best.
never been dragged so fucking hard. Oh my Christ.
I'll call you
Jeez.
MC for short.
No, don't call me that. I'm a Twitter criminal. I'm not mild cheese. I like mild cheese because I'm...
I'm surprised you didn't mention that you got suspended from Twitter for 12 hours for
Yes,
threatening the
yeah.
Sun newspaper.
Yeah, I got a 12-hour Twitter suspension for threatening the Sun newspaper because it's bullshit and I hate it.
Yeah.
It is both right and moral to insult and threaten the Sun newspaper every day of your life.
Not that we would, you know, recommend.
I condone it.
Okay, the thing is, the day I got a 12-hour suspension from Twitter for cyberbullying the Sun newspaper, we were going to visit our friend Lynn Squiggly. We were going to meet up at Warhammer World. And there was a queue to get in because we got there just as it
Oh,
opened.
yeah, shit.
And just as we we took we had a look at the Rhino a bit, and then we just kind of got in line. And this guy turns around and goes, just seen your tweet, fuck yeah. And I was like, yeah! I got a 12-hour Twitter suspension because of that. And he was like, ee! And him, and I think it was his son, they were absolutely lovely and were very nice. And yeah, it was just really funny. Because when I got my email going, you have been temporarily suspended for 12 hours, I laughed my fucking ass off.
I think that's the first time either of us have ever got suspended.
I'm surprised it took them this long.
But you did it to the Sun. Like every single article that they write and therefore presumably share on Twitter contains way more hate than whatever you said about them.
Yeah, I mean, I turned round and I added them because they posted a thing. They had a cover, like the front page was like, oh, the Queen of Woke, or something, referring to, like, Meghan, like, I don't know, she's, like, Harry's wife or some shit, and basically going, yeah, Piers Morgan, like, defending free speech, and I took a photo of it, and I added the Sun with, like, hey, at the Sun, could you shit yourself to death? Thanks. And then within 30 seconds, because it's basically, I know it got flagged by an algorithm because it looked like a death threat.
Yeah,
which I'm
you shouldn't tell other humans to do that, but you can tell a newspaper to do that.
This is
absolutely.
the thing. I'm not going to grab someone on the street and tell them that I'm going to fucking choke them to death or whatever. But, like, if you say that to a corporation, I'm not, like, the fucking social media people behind the Sun, like, look, they just got to they're making a wage. They got a family to feed. They got a house to fucking live in. You know what? I ain't gonna fucking, like, get mad at them. There's some poor fucking intern making minimum wage. It's not their fault.
I completely feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I absolutely feel sorry for them. But the Sun, as an entity, can suck my fucking gooch. I hate it, and I hope it shits itself to death. And I'm not saying I'm gonna kill anyone at the Sun or do anything bad to it, because I'd never do that. I'm just saying, if the Sun newspaper died, as in, oh, tomorrow they're bankrupt and Rupert Murdoch, like, cries himself to death, I'd be like,
oh well,
it's probably okay.
Hey ho.
But yeah, so that was really funny. That the first interaction I have with someone I'm not married to that day is a couple of people who are very nice going, I saw your tweet, nice one. And especially, like, massive props to David J. Bradley for print screening my tweet, because they wouldn't, like, start the 12-hour suspension countdown timer until I verified my phone number and then deleted the tweet. So he print screened it and he was like, wow, Snipe, it's such a shame that, you know, that this was deleted. Oh, would it be a shame if everyone saw it anyway? And that had, like, over 200 fucking likes and, like, a bunch of retweets. It was really funny. But yeah, so that was fun. Very fun day. Met a lot of very nice people.
Right, anyway. Where were we? Oh yeah, we skipped ahead to
Grove
Sepulchre
Grown I am never
because
gonna get over that.
because of mild cheddar. Yeah.
Fuck you,
So their question:
yes.
if one day you happen to run into Bigfoot in the woods, which I mean we all know is very likely,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and struck up a really long conversation over the course of which you felt like you built a beautiful relationship, what would the conversation be about? Is the first question. The second question: would you ask for Mothman's number, or would it be a bit too awkward?
Okay, so the conversation that I would strike, I'd be like, hey, yeah, don't worry, I'm not gonna, like, dob you into any authorities. I bet you get really fed up of, like, weirdos wandering around the woods covered in deer shit, like, shouting at you, and just basically talk about how it must be really annoying to just, like, never have 5 minutes peace, basically. And I would see how the conversation goes, but let's say it goes all pretty well. I would probably slip into conversation like, hey, so Mothman, and see if they know that, which I appreciate is like, hey, you're Australian, do you know Barbara?
Yeah, frankly, it's offensive to assume that he knows Mothman.
But let's just say that it came up naturally and I wasn't being a cryptid racist. I'd be like, I would be like, so yeah, Mothman, he's single? What's his digits? You know, I mean, I wouldn't ask for his phone number. I'd just be like, where could I find him so I could meet him and not just invade his privacy by getting his phone number immediately. So yeah.
I would like to speak to
Patty.
Bigfoot. Well, Patty's one particular. The
Bigfoot. One I was talking to was Patty.
Fun fact: the bit of Bigfoot footage that you'll always see when they show Bigfoot footage is was shot by a pair of people whose names were Patterson and Gimlin. So that footage is known as the Patterson Gimlin footage, and as such, the Bigfoot in it, because it's female, is usually is like colloquially referred to as Patty.
It's quite cute.
Which is kind of cute. Yeah. Which is why my
Pokemon Go slacking.
Go, my slacking is called Patty.
Yeah, because you don't really name Pokemon, whereas I do.
But yeah, I'd want to know how they managed to remain hidden for so long.
Yeah, I feel it's a bit of a private question, but
I'd just be intrigued as to what they done, and you know, if it came up naturally, yeah, I'd of course want to speak to Mothman. I want to know all about Mothman.
Honestly, it is a sin that no one has destroyed that fucking bubble that we know of.
That bubble?
His boot.
Oh, his ass. Oh, his mighty ass. Okay.
Mothman's mighty ass.
Okay, I get you. I want to know if he, indeed he was warning people about the bridge collapse, or if he just hates bridges.
I hate bridges. I would fully respect Mothman's decision on destroying bridges.
I won't tell you the actual story about that bridge falling because you'll feel bad about making light of it.
I think I will. Yeah. Drama Butt, what about you? What would you talk to Bigfoot about? Would you compare shoe size?
Yeah,
size?
but not so much.
Would you sensually caress Bigfoot and have a big kissing with them?
I'd probably ask for beard advice because I assume entire body beard takes a bit of work to maintain. So
I can imagine it would.
What their beauty regimen is?
Yeah.
Or I'd say they would absolutely tell you to avoid parabens. You can be a Bigfoot and you still know that parabens are bad for you.
I don't know what parabens are, but I know that my shampoo says no parabens on the bottle.
That's good then.
What the fuck is a paraben?
I have no idea. I don't have any, and I didn't know if that was a good thing or bad thing. I don't know if it was a warning or
yeah. No parabens. This is a threat. Ooh.
Yeah, I hope.
Honestly, I might just start doing it if we sell anything, which nudge nudge wink wink we might be doing soon.
I still like my
just put no parabens on it on the package.
I'm just gonna put random notices of it doesn't contain something that it will never contain.
Can you put a may contain nuts logo?
Put
Pedro Pascal?
does not contain gluten on a t-shirt,
Yeah, but then you look into the kind of looks like you're making fun of people with gluten sensitivities.
Well, I wasn't going to use gluten in particular. I was going to look up something cleverer, but I'm doing it off the cuff on a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. But yeah, that was a fun question. Thank you. Would you ask to be set up with Mothman?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure Ruth wouldn't mind a third in your marriage, especially if it's fucking Mothman.
Yeah, well, no. If I'm going to choose a third, I wouldn't. Why would I choose Mothman? I don't. The whole Mothman thing goes straight over my head. I'm not judging anyone who likes the bubble butt, but
it is a bit. But even for a bit, you wouldn't have Mothman. Who? Okay, new question, Drummer Matt. Who, if you could have anyone in the world be a third in your marriage, who would it be?
No. I want to amend this. Which cryptid?
Which cryptid
would be the third?
Okay.
So
I'll accept a pretty broad definition of cryptid.
I don't know if you're going to go for. I don't know.
I know.
You go Nessie. Nessie seems
that'd
like
be
they might be nice.
Yeah, you could have fun beach days.
They probably wouldn't be able to come and live with us because it's probably bigger than the house and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, we could go for some lovely days out and go swim up in Scotland. That sounds lovely.
Yeah. I was going to say, a
Fresno night walker, or what are they called?
No. I was going to say a thoughtful billionaire.
That is a
Well, no, I am torn.
People speculate they exist, but there is no proof.
Yeah, because they don't.
And also, no one speculates that. No one.
Yeah, nobody does. There's no good billionaires. But yeah, no, I am honestly torn between John Bernthal and Pedro Pascal.
Neither of those are cryptids. They are merely actors.
Okay.
But have either
John
of them ever
Bernthal is
acted
actually
as a cryptid?
Yeah. Yes, they have. I don't have my references right now, but I will give them to you later.
I would say that does not answer the question in any way, shape, or form.
Pedro Pascal's played a vampire twice, and they're kind of like cryptids.
Yes, but there is a difference between an actor playing a thing and the thing.
No. He's an actual vampire.
He is
That's
not.
why he still looks so good.
Unless you're suggesting that Pedro Pascal is the acting job and everything he plays is reality.
I mean, okay. So, as an actor or as any kind of public-facing person, you have to have a persona. You are the product. You are selling yourself. So, while I know that you didn't mean it anywhere near as metaphysically as I did.
It is true that Pedro Pascal as
an entity,
as the actor that we know is a fiction, just as the version of you, me, or Matt that people are listening to right now is to some degree a fiction.
It is, yeah. We are the product. We are selling ourselves. Because it is our job.
It is not, it is not 100% a reflection of who we really are. But that's
still,
not really relevant to the question at hand. Now,
I
is
would
it?
still
Because
like to be the salami in that sandwich.
Because the question is about fucking cryptids, which is admittedly not even part of.
Okay,
it's not
fine,
even a question that you were asked.
The
really.
Jersey Devil.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I like to think it has a really thick Jersey accent. Oh yeah, because that's
What the fuck was
that was just Aussie.
That was an
Oh, it's
Australian
Australian.
accent. Yeah. But no, the thing you don't know is that the Jersey Devil is an Australian bunyip that's tried to move to LA.
I'm just gonna say, I think
And
I think the fact that we're all a little bit tired at this point has
And
meant
very
that
overheated.
every single question has gone really off the rails.
Okay, what
last
about
two
you?
questions.
Who's the third in our marriage that I haven't chosen?
Champy.
Champy.
He's a Nessie equivalent, but from America.
Okay, so what's wrong with the Scottish
Nessie
accent?
Nessie without the accent. Yeah.
So
With a different accent.
pointless then.
With a different accent. I'm just going
please
for
tell
it.
me it's like Wisconsin, like, oh, hey there.
It's Lake Champlain.
once.
I can't remember exactly where it is offhand.
Okay. So I've got... Wait, all I can think about is Pedro
It doesn't
Pascal
matter.
now.
Next question.
Yeah. Okay. This one isn't a question, but it is for you, Wib. Well, is Wib, and then in brackets, and the rest of you, but let's be honest, Wib and possibly Matt,
Okay.
aware of the fact that the band Saxon, as mentioned in the Games Workshop record label video,
Yes.
has a song entirely about a train?
That does not
When
surprise
I
me.
was a train.
That does not surprise me because it's a band my dad likes. Or more accurately, that my dad thinks is crap, but in like an endearing way.
Endearing, yeah.
The English are so fucking weird.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, but I'm glad to know that is the case.
Good. Thanks, Wilbur. Very last question, the sentient hare.
Hello.
So, if the Grot Rebellion succeeds, will
You
they
mean
learn...
if, comrade?
Okay, when the Grot Rebellion succeeds, will they learn the lessons of their own revolt, or will they face the wrath of the Snotling Revolution, who will in turn then obviously be overthrown by the Squig insurgency, and then eventually one day face the wrath of the generalised mushroom protest? Where does it end?
Well,
That's a slippery slope fallacy is what you've got going on there.
I would say it depends entirely if you are talking about the canonical Gorka Morka Grot Rebellion or the Grot Rebellion that I personally collect.
Jesus fucking Christ.
those are-
Okay, let's say that it's from your personal Grot Rebellion.
From my personal one, I make no distinction between Snotling, Grot, nor Squig. They are all equal partners in this.
There is a culture of equality and equity.
My Grots are less based on a sort of satire of the sort of Soviet system, and they are more anarcho-goblinists. So
All knobs are bastards.
all knobs are bastards. one of my fucking
All knobs are dicks.
Okay, no. That's
my
terrible.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of my weird boys is standing on a crate, and I tend to put like graffiti and stuff on the crates, and one of them does have a nab for all knobs are bastards, but in orc glyphs written on it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funny.
Because I'm very funny.
Oh, so funny.
Very funny.
Like, comment, subscribe for more funny.
I would say that if you're dealing with the GW interpretation, then yes, that would,
It would be
be
a constant like spiral of revolution.
there would be it, because yes, you look into it, and there is the, even though they have broken away from the orcs, it does explicitly state that snotlings are still beneath grots, which is, when you just replicate a system like that, you are sowing the seeds for your own destruction.
I'm just going to say an owie to one is an owie to all.
An owie to one is an owie to all.
Just saying.
So yeah,
Good.
that's
and
my
that
answer.
is the end of the questions.
Okay. We are currently going through a heat wave, and we're all very sleepy, and all of us, apart from Wid, because he's a cryptid.
I mean, I am
Who is
sleepy.
also the third in my marriage.
Are you okay?
No. I've gone Troppo. I've gone Bush.
Do you want me to wrap up the podcast?
No, I can do it fine. I'm
Because
what's
I'm
the word for when you're good at something?
Good.
I'm good at wrapping up the podcast. Fuck! Prophylactic. No, I am prophylactic at wrapping up the podcast. So yeah, it's been a bit of a heat wave. So we've all gone a bit heat crazy. We've all gone a bit troppo. It's a bit weird, but we do advise you to have a nice glass of water. be kind to yourself, take your meds, and like, comment, and subscribe, and send us questions to the email address, which is thedrummermat@gmail.com. Send money! I also want to know if you could have any type of gacha, which is like little surprise capsules, which is basically like disguised gambling for children. If you could have gacha with anything in it, what would it be? Email in. Thank you very much for listening.
Do you have to choose the like vague topic of it, but you can't choose a specific one? Or
I'm lenient. I think choose the topic, and if there's a particular gacha that you'd want to get, like, this is like the ultra rare, like gold one equivalent of like, that kind of thing.
I do actually have something to say that I should have probably said at the start of the podcast, but it's probably relevant about.
It's fine. Fix it in post.
No,
tax
can't be
impost.
asked. Okay. About the future of the channel.
Okay.
Ooh. Which is just a kind of mild thing that you probably might have noticed, because as talk of cryptids happened in this podcast, many of you will be aware that we uploaded a Bigfoot video.
Yeah.
About a very bad show. Now, something that we're planning to do at the moment is to just get more content up on the channel. Yeah,
we're trying to branch out a little bit and not specialise so much towards Games Workshop's stuff specifically.
Yeah, so we're still going to be doing all.
Which I'm sure is not at all related to anything that Games Workshop has done at any point in the past or anything.
No.
In all honesty,
everything's fine.
It's got a lot more to do with just realising that we used to do a lot more.
Fair.
Wanting to recapture a bit of that. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot more stuff up on the channel. I think we're aiming for like one thing up a week, even if sometimes that's just the podcast.
Yeah. Still counts. It's content.
We'll probably fail at that repeatedly, but that's sort of the aim. So if you enjoy the stuff that we put up, there's going to be a lot more up there.
Yeah, and if you want to comment on things, because algorithms exist, then that's fine. We're not going to stop you doing that.
Yeah, because we had a call to action at the end of the fucking
the amount of comments
video.
Which was just like, oh my god, hail the algorithm, and it's like, no, thank you, that really actually helped.
That video did so much better because of it getting more interaction,
and it meant a lot because I had to watch episodes of $10 Million Bigfoot Bounty.
I was talking about the Fishman episode.
I was talking about $10 Million Bigfoot Bounty. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to this auditory hallucination of nightmares. We really appreciate you listening. Take care of yourselves, and we will talk at you next time. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Mwah.
Mwah. I wanted to blow a kiss too.